Ryan Grubbs, as of today, Tuesday, is not going to be, it sounds like, the next offensive coordinator for the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is a little bit weird. Talked to some people close to that program, and the reason why it's weird is because my guy flew from the West Coast all the way to Tuscaloosa, sat down with Nick Saban and company, had an interview, and is not going to be the OC. The way that I look at it, there's two scenarios that more than likely played out. The first is, hey, you flew to Tuscaloosa, you had an interview with the boss man, and Nick Saban said, thank you so much, don't think it's a fit for us. If I'm an Alabama fan, great. Crisis averted. If the greatest of all time sits down and says he's not a fit for us here at Alabama, you know how many coordinators he's hired, you know how many staffs he's put together? If he's not good enough, if he doesn't pass the smell test for Nick Saban, fine by me. We roll on. There's somebody else better that's going to be a fit for Nick Saban and company. I'm good with that. If Nick Saban says it's not a go, it's not a go, then it's not a go. The other scenario, which I'm playing out in my head here, is he goes to Alabama and gets offered a job, and whether it's a financial thing or whether it's I just want to stay at Washington thing, he ends up saying no to Alabama. Again, none of this is clear at the time of us being live right now. Would imagine more information will become available as we roll on. Make sure you're locked in at Bama Insider. They have a phenomenal coverage going on right now of the coordinator position. But the second, again, that's the Alabama on 3 side, Bama Insider. Make sure you're locked in. The other scenario is he goes to Bama, says no. Thank you, but no thank you. The way that I'm looking at this, if you're saying no to Alabama and you're Ryan Grubbs, great. Great. Crisis averted. Dodged a bullet. You don't want to come coach a bunch of 5-stars. You don't want to come coach in the best conference in college football. You don't want to come learn from the greatest of all time in Nick Saban. That's fine with us. That's fine by me. Anytime Harvard Med has somebody say no to Harvard Med, I want to be a doctor and I get into Harvard Med and I say, hey, not for me, sorry. Is Harvard Med hurting? Is Harvard Med saying, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? This one applicant, this one person that got in said no to us? Probably not. I don't know what to tell you if you don't want to go to Harvard Med and you want to be a doctor. That's kind of the same thing I'm saying here. Far be it for me to tell Ryan Grubbs what's best for him and his situation going forward. But if you don't want to go be a coach under Nick Saban at Alabama and you have that opportunity, I don't know what the next thing for you is. Because the Alabama situation is, if you're an offensive coordinator, if you're any coordinator at Alabama, that is a springboard to either a coordinator position in the NFL or it's a springboard to a head coaching job in college football. That's just the track record. Now, maybe there's some loyalty here for Ryan Grubbs and he wants to just stay and be with his head coach and Kalen DeBoer and continue building what they've done at Washington. I respect that. But from a career standpoint, if you're saying no to Alabama, it's not on Alabama. Okay? So where do you look forward to if you're Alabama? Couple of names that continue to stay on the board for the Crimson Tide. Really quickly, though, if you have not yet subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel, we would love to have you at the party. Content 24/7, 365 days a year. We got you covered. The hard count is on every single day. We are live as we are right now on Tuesdays and on Thursdays. Come lock in with us. We'd love to have you a part of this. Now, moving forward, there's two names, like I said, that are still on the board that we actually talked about when the job became available, and the same sentiment remains true about what they're looking for, at least. There's a lot of smoke around the NFL, going back to the NFL and bringing somebody from that realm to be the next play caller in Tuscaloosa. They also want somebody who's going to be able to get Alabama back to being old Alabama. And when I say old Alabama, I mean just be able to assert your will physically with the run game. Set the tone. Be physical in the trenches. Move those big human beings against their will and dictate the tempo with the run, and then be able to do some play action, be able to stretch the field and score points that way as well. They want to get back to that, and that's kind of a flavor that we've seen a little bit more consistently among the pro ranks. And the third piece of this that we've heard, and there's a lot of smoke around, is being able to be a quarterback whisperer. Whoever takes over the OC position in Tuscaloosa will be riding shotgun in a Ferrari with a first-time driver. Whether it's Jalen Milroe, whether it's Ty Simpson, whether it's one of these freshmen, it'll be a first-time driver, a first-time starter with tons of weapons at their disposal. You better be able to be synced up and speak the language and help that driver steer this Ferrari. So the two names that continue to be brought up, continue to stay on the board rather, Brian Johnson, quarterback coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, deserves a ton of credit, deserves a really hard look. He fits the NFL mold. He fits the quarterback coach mold. But what he's done with Jalen Hurts, think about what was said about Jalen Hurts when he began his NFL career. Kind of a project, got benched at Bama, did well at Oklahoma, but anybody can play in that system at Oklahoma, right? Anybody can succeed under Lincoln Riley. Jalen Hurts, that's great that he did that at Oklahoma, but will he work in the NFL? I don't know if he has the skill set to work at the next level. All I know is Brian Johnson has that Eagles team, that offense, playing for a Super Bowl. So I think he deserves a really hard look, would be a great fit for that young quarterback room. The name that we threw our hat in the ring for when this whole thing started, Joe Brady, currently quarterback coach of Nick Brick's Buffalo Bills. And the reason why I think he's the fit is because he's had success at the college level, and he's also worked with some elite quarterbacks. Joe Burrow, whether you think he's getting too much credit for his success or not, he was still around him and was still the passing game coordinator for LSU's 2019 title team. Currently, like I said, working with Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. So he can take all that experience with elite level quarterbacks and pass that on to this room. Pass that on to a Ty Simpson, a Jalen Milroe, those freshmen, Eli Holstein, Dylan Lonergan. Be able to bestow some wisdom upon them and say, here's what the standard is. Here's what I've seen done at the top of each college and professional ranks. I know what it looks like. Let me help you. Let me help you get to that sort of performance level. So Joe Brady, for me, is still the pick. And maybe your rebuttal to Brian Johnson or Joe Brady is, well, are they going to want to recruit their NFL guys? Are they going to want to be recruiters for Alabama? Because that's something that you have to do at the college level. You don't just get to finish up your season and go take a vacation with the family in Fiji. You got to kind of put in some hours here on the phone. You got to kind of work the system, visit the high schools, all that. I would just say this. It is much easier to recruit at Alabama than it is at other locations across the country. I'm not saying you don't still have to do it. You don't still have to grind, but you can show up with that script A on your chest, and you're already a few steps ahead of whoever's next to you in the high school, if you catch my drift. So Brian Johnson, Joe Brady, still two guys that are being thrown around in the salad bowl that is names for the offensive coordinator spot in Tuscaloosa. But Ryan Grubbs, whether he said no to Bama or Bama said no to him, I trust Nick Saban, and if you said no to Bama, I can't help you, is where I land on that topic. So the search continues for the Alabama offensive coordinator position. Sounds like it's starting to get narrowed down a little bit more. They're keeping this thing very close to the vest. But Ryan Grubbs, for the time being at least, will not be the next coordinator in Tuscaloosa calling the offense. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.